So, one of the doctors from the LNGP hospital has now confirmed that there are at least 8 deceased who have died en route or have been brought dead on arrival. They've also confirmed that there are at least 3 people who are in a serious condition. I've been told that that alerts have been now given in Gurugram, Faridabad, in Mumbai for the police. So currently, as per the doctors in LNGP, which is the latest official confirmation that we have, there are at least 8 fatalities. We are being told at least a dozen other casualties of those who are injured. There are 4 people currently in hospital in the LNJP hospital. This is as per the medical superintendent of LNJP. Of the 4 people, 3 are in a serious condition, 1 is stable. There are other 6 other injured who are being reported. Now, from the visual that you can see on your screens, and I don't think we require, can we just take them one by one, please, so that they are actually visible to what has happened. Now, ladies and gentlemen, at this point of time, we do not have a briefing from either the Delhi police or the NIA, which I am being told has been brought in. There is a special cell, anti-terrorism cell, that also operates out of Delhi. So we don't have a statement from either of them regarding what has happened. But prima facie, if you examine what has taken place, let me describe to you prima facie what is the difference between a low intensity explosion and a high intensity explosion. Low intensity explosion, as defined by when your CNG blast takes place or your LPG cylinder blast take place, these are not unheard of, they are not common, but they are not unheard of. They can happen and they do happen. And even cars lighting on fire is not uncommon. Cars, electric cars, or even petrol vehicles that have leakages can catch a blaze. But we have counted at least 8 cars on fire. The people who are the eyewitnesses are saying that they could feel the earth shaking, and what you are seeing in terms of what we had to blur out, obviously, including the commentary, is maimed bodies. That does not by any turn of the tail seem to indicate a low intensity explosion. Now, of course, I have to put the caveats out there that we are yet to hear from the police or the NIA. These will be the 2 nodal authorities. They both report to the Ministry of Home Affairs, the police as well as the NIA, and they will be coming up with an update shortly. I don't have information on when that press conference is scheduled or when that investigation is scheduled. I can't ignore the fact of the news that we've been carrying for the past 48 hours of the massive bust that has happened in Faridabad, where almost 400 kilograms of high explosives, including and additionally AK-47s, have been recovered. And within hours, we've had this explosion at the Red Fort. The timing of it, the location of it, the prima facie examination of it, the fatalities, the casualties, all seem to indicate that this is potentially something beyond just an accidental occurrence. Around about 7 p.m., 5 minutes short of 7 p.m., right outside a metro station, Red Fort, highly congested, middle of the road, at a place where at the time when the traffic is the most and the congestion is the most, around about that 7 p.m. mark. So the location, the timing, the intensity, people in buildings nearby have felt the earth shake with the intensity of the blast. You can clearly see the burnt out remains and the shells of vehicles, and it's not just one. It's at least 8 we have counted on fire, at least 8 fatalities, at least 6 injured. Well, now, in a situation where things are still fluid, where we cannot for certain say what has taken place, but we can watch with our eyes that whatever has taken place seems insidious, seems to be a hand of malevolence, maleficence, and not just accidental occurrence at play. You can clearly see, as we break information coming on your screens, of the Home Minister who's spoken with the Commissioner of Police in Delhi. We are blurring out some of these visuals for obvious reasons, because those are badly maimed bodies lying on the street. So it can be accidental, but everything smacks of it not being so. The location, the time, the car involved, an inexpensive car which seems to have blown up. Now we don't know whether the fatalities were the people within the car. It seemed to have happened in the middle of the road. Red Fort, few hours after a major terror bust in Faridabad, the night before elections in Bihar. Every being in your gut and fiber, to any sleuth approaching the scene, it would scream something insidious, something terrible is happening. Let me try to get a perspective in before I rope in all our guests who are also absorbing the information. I've been told that a high alert has also been sounded in Kolkata as we speak. So all metros are responding for the worst and hoping for the best, which is exactly what should be happening at this point of time for obvious reasons. So let's absorb the information that we are getting at this point of time, and let's go back to Bhavna. Bhavna, are you still with us? Can you hear us? आपको आवाज आ रही है? Okay, can you hear me?
जी जी जी
हाँ, तो अभी वहाँ पर looks like कि सारा कॉर्डन ऑफ कर दिया गया है. अभी कैजुअलिटीज़ का क्या सीन है और क्या कब पता चल रहा है कि कब पुलिस आके हमें बताएगी कि हुआ क्या है, कि ये लग तो नहीं रहा कि लो इंटेंसिटी सीएनजी ब्लास्ट है?
जी देखिए, ये बात बिल्कुल सही है कि जिस तरीके से धमाका हुआ है तो उसे ये नहीं कहा जा सकता कि लो इंटेंसिटी है। देखिए, तस्वीरें दिखाना चाहूंगी। आप देख सकते हैं कि धमाके के बाद जो है दिल्ली पुलिस जो है लगातार यहाँ पे तैनात की जा रही है। देख सकते हैं कितनी भारी संख्या में जो है पुलिस बल यहाँ पर पहुंचा है। वहीं कहीं ना कहीं दिल्ली पुलिस के तमाम आला अधिकारी भी जो है मौके पर पहुंच चुके हैं और आप देख सकते हैं लगातार फोर्स जो है यहाँ पर बढ़ाई जा रही है। जिस तरीके से ये धमाका हुआ है, कहीं ना कहीं अब इस धमाके को आतंकी घटना से भी जोड़कर देखा जा रहा है। लगातार मामले की जांच पड़ताल जारी है। फिलहाल पूरे इलाके को जो है पूरी तरीके से बंद कर दिया गया है। पुलिस की तरफ से फिलहाल अभी किसी भी तरीके की स्टेटमेंट नहीं आ रही है, क्योंकि पुलिस जो है पूरे मामले की जांच में जुट गया है। वहीं इस धमाके के बाद जहां दिल्ली को हाई अलर्ट पे कर दिया गया है, वहीं आस पड़ोस के जो पड़ोसी राज्य है उनको भी हाई अलर्ट पे कर दिया गया है। यूपी की बात की जाए तो यूपी के मुख्यमंत्री ने
Bhavna, just stay with me. Can I tell our producers, can we keep the visuals on our screen, please? The information can come at the bottom of the screens. Keep the visuals on the screen, and the rest of our conversations, unless we are showing something specific, can be put at the bottom right. So we keep the visual on the screen. Sid, do we really need these bands at the top as well? I don't think so, because the visuals are telling you the story, and the story they're telling me, ladies and gentlemen, that, and again I say prima facie, look at the damage that has happened, and it's not all fire damage, it's blast damage. An explosion has taken place. A rather ferocious explosion has taken place. Now, we've covered news of CNG blasts and LPG cylinder blasts in the past. None of them have ended up looking like this. Bhavna, sorry to have interrupted you. आप बता रहे थे. Go ahead.
जी देखिए, मैं आपको बता दूं, जिस तरीके से प्राथमिक जांच में सामने आया है कि सीएनजी ब्लास्ट है, तो कहीं ना कहीं तस्वीरों को देख के अंदाजा लगाया जा सकता है कि ये सीएनजी ब्लास्ट नहीं है, क्योंकि ब्लास्ट जितना भयावह है, जिस तरीके की तस्वीरें सामने आ रही है, आसपास के खड़े वाहन जिस तरीके से क्षतिग्रस्त हुए, वही जिस तरीके से लगातार मौतों का आंकड़ा भी बढ़ता जा रहा है, उससे अंदाजा लगाया जा सकता है कि ये केवल सीएनजी ब्लास्ट नहीं है। और कहीं ना कहीं इस चीज को देखते हुए जहां अब एनआईए भी है, वो भी इस मामले की जांच में जुट गई है, जहां दिल्ली पुलिस के तमाम आला अधिकारी, बॉम्ब स्क्वाड, तो कहीं वहीं दूसरी तरफ जो तमाम जांच एजेंसियां हैं वो अब इस मामले में जुट चुकी हैं और हर एंगल से जो है जांच की जा रही है, क्योंकि जिस तरीके से वाहन क्षतिग्रस्त हुए और लगातार मौतों का आंकड़ा बढ़ता जा रहा है, घायलों का आंकड़ा बढ़ता जा रहा है, पुलिस जांच में जुटी हुई है और इस घटना में कितने लोगों की मौत हुई है उनको नजदीकी हॉस्पिटल में पहुंचाया जा रहा है, जो घायल हुए उनको भी नजदीकी हॉस्पिटल में पहुंचाया जा रहा है। वहीं इस घटना के बाद पूरा एरिया जो है कॉर्डन ऑफ कर दिया गया है, जैसा कि आप तस्वीरों में
Bhavna,
देख
have
रहे
any
हैं भाई।
information कि other than LNGP के अलावा किसी हॉस्पिटल में किसी इनको लोगों को भेजा गया है?
जी देखिए, मैं आपको बता दूं, फिलहाल जो घायल है नजदीकी हॉस्पिटल में भेजे जा रहे हैं, लेकिन अभी तक जो जानकारी सामने आ रही है वो फिलहाल एनएनजेपी हॉस्पिटल से आ रही है, जहां के एमडी ने इस बात की जानकारी दी है कि अब तक इस मामले में 8 लोगों की मौत हो चुकी है। वहीं कई लोग इस मामले में घायल अवस्था में पहुंचे हैं, जिनका उपचार जारी है। जैसे कि तस्वीरें देखी गई थी, जिन लोगों की मौत हुई है उनकी शव की तस्वीरें जिस तरीके से सामने आई, उन तस्वीरों को देख के अंदाजा लगाया जा सकता है कि हादसा जो था वो कितना भयावह था। प्राथमिक जांच में जिस तरीके से जानकारी सामने आई कि सीएनजी ब्लास्ट है, लेकिन कहीं ना कहीं अब ये जो सीएनजी ब्लास्ट है वो दूसरे एंगल से भी जांच की जा रही है। वहीं दिल्ली को हाई अलर्ट पे कर दिया गया है और दिल्ली सहित आसपास के पड़ोसी राज्यों को भी हाई अलर्ट पे कर दिया गया है।
ओके, भावना हमारे साथ बने रहिए। लेट मी जस्ट टच बेस विद आवर गेस्ट वंस एज वी कैन. Major General Kumar is with us, Sanjay Sahay with us, Patikrit with us, Professor Dalapat is with us. Let's just touch base and get a perspective on what is going on. I'm just again touching base to what we can see, because we are waiting for information and confirmation of what has happened. I don't think these many high alerts would have been sounded if the police were suspecting an innocent CNG explosion that has taken place. Sanjay ji, we have to, of course, wait. I have to put the caveat. Okay, we're hearing from the police. Let's listen in.
कितना लोग हैं? अरे यार यहाँ कितना ये अरे यार अभी आ रहे हैं, सीनियर ऑफिसर विल कम. ठीक है, वेट करो.
Forgive us, we'll just go back to the live visuals. You've just heard the inspector there saying that a senior official will just come and brief us very, very shortly. Yeah, there you have it. That's the bomb detection kits that are out there for obvious reasons. We've had seen in the past that if the explosion is malified, which is what we suspect it probably is, in that event, let us not rule out the fact that multiple explosions cannot be planted. It's a very real threat. It's a very real stratagem that is used by those perpetrators who look for these kind of stratagems. And let's be realistic. This is not looking good. In fact, with every minute that passes. Sanjay Sahay with us. Mr. Sahay, your quick reaction before we hear, I'm assuming from the DCP police. Go ahead, sir.
The nature of vehicles and the number of vehicles which are involved in this particular incident, it's very difficult to say that it is not an explosion. And an explosion which is not done by insidious, with insidious intentions. In the backdrop, you see the timing. It is the nature of blast which we have seen for quite some time, though it has not been happening in the last decade or so. The location itself speaks quite a few things. It is in a very packed area. It is at a time where you can do most amount of damage. And this will basically instill terror. This is a fear psychosis which is to be spread around. Given the background of April incidents and all that, I have a feeling that might be, there are feelings which are coming out now of having defeated or in whichever manner it is. Now coming to the immediate backdrop of Saharanpur, of Faridabad,
Okay, sorry to interrupt.
300.
The DCP police, let's listen in.
लाइट पे एक स्लो मूविंग व्हीकल जो रेड लाइट की तरफ आके रुका था, उसमें एक ये एक्सप्लोजन हुआ है. उस वक्त गाड़ी के अंदर जो पैसेंजर्स उसके अंदर ही थे, और इस एक्सप्लोजन से जो है आसपास की गाड़ियों में भी क्षति हुई. जैसे ही इसकी खबर मिली, हम सारी एजेंसीज जो है, दिल्ली पुलिस, एफएसएल, एनआईए, एनएसजी, उनकी टीम्स यहाँ पे आ चुकी हैं और हालात का जायजा भी ले रही है. हर तरीके से इस जो है एक्सप्लोजन के बारे में जांच की जा रही है और जल्दी ही इसका आकलन करके इसका जो भी रिजल्ट निकलेगा वो आपको बताया जाएगा. इस इंसिडेंट में कुछ लोग को इंजरीज भी आई हैं और कुछ लोगों की डेथ भी हुई है, तो वो अभी हालात का जायजा लिया जा रहा है और एग्जैक्ट फिगर्स जो हैं आपको कुछ ही देर में बता दी जाएंगी. और सिचुएशन को रेगुलरली मॉनिटर किया जा रहा है और गृह मंत्री जी भी जो है उनसे रेगुलरली उनका फ़ोन भी आया था, उनको रेगुलरली ब्रीफ किया जा रहा है और उनको टाइम टू टाइम पूरी सूचना दी जा रही है और आगे जैसे भी हालात होंगे, जो भी नतीजा निकलेगा आपको बताया जाएगा। अभी इसको आकलन किया जा रहा है।
Okay, well, there you heard it. Care and caution is being taken by the Delhi police in what they are terming it as nothing right now. But you have a confirmation that this was within traffic. So this was not a vehicle parked on the side of the road. This was within traffic, which was what the visuals would indicate, that the explosion has happened within slow moving traffic. So in the middle of a traffic jam, a slow moving vehicle with passengers inside has exploded. It would not be rocket science to conclude that some of those fatalities are indeed the passengers on board the vehicle which exploded and potentially others. Now, that's the latest visual on your screen. Let me put out a visual which I can see on the screen in front of me, and we'll go back to Mr. Sahai. Mr. Sahai, obviously the police are being careful in what they're calling it. They're calling it nothing so far. They're just calling it an explosion. But as you and I were suggesting, the time it happened, where it happened, and the amount of carnage it has caused, and the eyewitness is saying that even in buildings nearby, the ground shook from the explosion. That does not look like a cylinder blast prima facie.
See, I'll not be able to tell you as to what the nature of explosion is, but until the time they tell us the cause of the explosion, which is extremely important. If you know the cause of the explosion and what the DCP is talking about, that there was a blast and it spread to other vehicles, I think certainly it is a guarded statement. But nonetheless, if they are not sure of the fact as to what has happened, naturally that will be the response which will come from the investigating agency and the law enforcement agency. We are not ruling out any of the backdrop in which the country is in as it stands now, given the Saharanpur and Faridabad sort of huge arms and ammunition cache and ammonium nitrate to an extent of 350 kg. But broadly, the official statement is this, that it was an explosion in a moving car. So what do we take as the cause of the explosion? The cause of the explosion will decide everything. It is a CNG vehicle. If somebody has planted something into that CNG vehicle, it can be any number of things. So I think we should keep our fingers crossed as
Okay,
it stands.
breaking developments coming in, putting up on your screens. Prime Minister Modi has now been in a conversation with Home Minister Amit Shah. So a sequence of events is now playing out rapidly. The Home Minister has spoken to the Commissioner of Police. The Commissioner of Police has briefed the Home Minister. The Home Minister is subsequently now briefing the Prime Minister. You can well imagine now that on the wireless information has already gone out. Most of the metros in India in the east, north and west are currently on alert, from Kolkata to Mumbai. In the outskirts around Delhi NCR, high alerts have already been sounded, and the police have increased their patrolling as well as the nakabandi that is being done. Now, we don't have any further updates on casualties other than from the LNJP hospital, whose medical superintendent has confirmed at least 8 fatalities, 3 serious injuries, 1 stable and 2 other injuries that have been reported at LNJP hospital. We don't have any information of any injured or otherwise being taken to any other hospital other than LNJP. With the amount of damage that has happened, ladies and gentlemen, the amount of damage, I can imagine that the minor injuries are far exceeding the number of 6. We have counted at least 8 cars that are either totally destroyed or badly damaged. At least 8 cars totally destroyed or badly damaged. And you can clearly see one by one. You can count them out on your screens. Okay, Mr. Sahai, now in a circumstance like this, one has to obviously imagine the worst and prepare security on the worst. Patterns in the past have indicated, I'm not suggesting this is the pattern this time or we have any information to the same, but patterns in the past have indicated that if a blast occurs, there is the potential for other blasts, which is why immediate care and caution is very important.
See, there is no doubt about the fact which we are stating, and there's always been a pattern, and also in the vicinity of that particular explosion or blast. And it has happened any number of times. So certainly, as far as Delhi is concerned, that amount of precaution and prevention in the matter of the worst possible scenario that needs to be taken. And whatever we are seeing on the ground, at least as far as Chandni Chowk and main scene of offense is concerned, I think that is the nature of things which are being put in place. If you're talking about the red alert which is being passed on all across the country, primarily in the metros, I think that is with similar thought process in mind. The patterns of terror operations are pretty well known, and Indian enforcement, investigative, and law and order agencies are pretty versed with that, pretty well versed with that.
Okay, so
And with the
can you
huge
help us
amount of
understand, what would be standard procedures here? So obviously we've seen bomb detection kits on the ground. Now I assume that they include methodologies for chemical sampling of debris, to hunt for traces of various known explosives, etc. So what would be an operation that helps us either identify what has happened or rule out what has not happened?
See, one is the bomb disposal squad. So that is there in case there is something live, so that can be detonated and done away with, carried to a isolated facility. There would also be a whole forensic team which would have landed there as of now. And they would be collecting every type of forensic evidence. And that forensic evidence will go through the test. They will be able to tell you what has been the cause of this particular explosion, whether it is CNG, whether it is because of some other chemicals, because it is ammonium nitrate, and the capability of that particular, the causative material to spread in that manner as it has spread, and as we have seen, 8 vehicles you are talking about. So all that will be, we would get a final shape only when the forensic evidence is picked up, and I presume that it is happening, but on the face of it, the Delhi police is stating that wait and watch, and this is what we have seen, and this is where we are. So that is where it stands. You have to, the whole scene of offense, so that is made sterile, so that all the police operations primarily on the investigative side is taken care, and any areas of a similar nature where based on the historical evidence, and they would be having large amount of digital signal information, which is we call as the ELIN. So electronic intelligence would be there. All those things would be sieved together, being added up together, and actionable
No,
intelligence
and
would
Red
be
Fort,
taken.
Chandni Chowk have a lot of CCTVs as well. We don't have access to that telemetry obviously right now, but I'm assuming the Delhi police does. They not only have traffic cameras, but they have specifically cameras dedicated to the Delhi police. Those are the yellow cameras, the white cameras being the traffic cameras. So I'm sure they'll be able to track this car, sir, and the moment of the explosion to some nearabouts.
2, 3 types of cameras in Delhi.
Yes.
So one is a whole load of camera which does not do any policing activity. There is another camera which is basically into your traffic, and there would be certainly a whole lot of camera which gets into other activities. So tracking this car from at least couple of kilometers or might be more from where the coverage area of CCTV starts, I think that can be done pretty easily. And then the registration number. By now, they would have got all those details. I'm 100% sure of it. And they would be doing their reverse engineering and trying to find out where the connect is, where the connect is not. Most important is what is the cause of this explosion. From there, everything will happen. As of now, we don't have any concrete information. So that connect which you have been talking about and I have been talking about, based on the pattern of the whole thing, in one-off situation, if it is a CNG and some sort of other explosion related might be of the electric, it was not electric vehicle, it was a CNG vehicle, in whichever manner, if it is at one of those exceptions, then I don't know. But broadly, we have to wait and watch, given what the DCP has said.
And,
the background and the accentuating factors, I think all of us are aware by now.
And the reality is they are not one or two, there are hundreds of eyewitnesses to what has taken place. The place was packed. In fact, but it is the surrounding cars that have probably shielded the pedestrians from the worst of the explosion. Because the cars are completely mangled. Look at what's happened, that looks like a Maruti vehicle. one of those 6-seater minivan types. Its right side is completely punched in. This one vehicle, the white vehicle you've seen, is completely destroyed. There's nothing left. Others are on fire, and you can tell the difference between the explosion damage and the fire damage. Now look at the person. If the vehicle, which I know it's not, these are not armored vehicles, they don't have bulletproof windows, they are normal vehicles, but it's still a skin of steel. Compare that to the individuals who were, of course, in your autos. Look at that auto, the roof is completely blown off. People in those electric autos that we use, electric taxis that we use, with absolutely no protection whatsoever. So you can imagine that what we can confirm to you is that this was not a parked vehicle. Nobody came and parked the car and a parked vehicle has exploded. This vehicle was actually in traffic, moving, when some sort of explosion has taken place. There were passengers inside this vehicle. Now one can assume that of the fatalities, those are passengers inside this vehicle. Now was this vehicle a private vehicle? It seems so. Was it a taxi? Did somebody plant, as Mr. Sahai is saying, something in the vehicle that the people who were operating it were unaware of, or were the people operating it aware of exactly what they were doing, which makes it even more insidious? We don't know yet. I'm assuming the police will have to put this together. Good places to look. Mr. Sahai has also mentioned, we've discussed. There is a lot of CCTV coverage which is available immediately to the police from their control room. There will be ancillary CCTV coverage from there are gurdwaras there are shops over there. The Delhi Metro will have its own CCTV setup. This happened right outside the metro station. Now this is talking about several hours of work before we can put two puzzle pieces together. The vehicle number plate, if it has been completely destroyed, I'm assuming some part of the chassis number can still be recovered to identify the identity of the vehicle and trace its ownership. Difficult one. What I'm being told right now is confirming what we were just discussing, that a chemical analysis is being done of samples that have been recovered from the spot. I'm also being told, sir, Mr. Sahai, that a team from Jammu and Kashmir Police has been brought in or is being brought in to assist with the chemical analysis to match for known chemical signatures in previous such attempts for whatever suspected or unsuspected IED would be. So now it, as you were saying, sir, it comes down to what caused the blast, and everything has to start from there. Mr. Sahai.
It has to start from there because we need to know the cause given the all sort of a smoke screen which is created. We are also not ready to accept the fact that it is a simple CNG explosion. So there is absolutely no other way out, and the nature of damage which has happened. Now there are people who are there on the ground. I think there would be a couple of people who will be able to tell you whether it is a CNG explosion or it is some other explosion. But sitting here, we will not be in a position to take any sort of a guess. And it is not required. It is not warranted at all. So the cause is to be found out. And then from there, because the nature of damage which is done, I think that devastation can give you some inkling of a reverse engineering to find out as to, or to come to some sort of an idea as to how it would have happened and what would have been the material. Whether it is a chemical, whether it is CNG blast. If there is a CNG blast, there is a CNG cylinder also. So that would have been ripped apart into pieces. I have absolutely no idea as to what is the exact granular details of things which has happened. But if you talk of the scene of offense, the time of offense, the number of people there, the pattern of such bomb blasts in this country, so that takes us to a different story.
Yeah, which is the same conclusion. Now, of course, you've served in uniform, sir, but it's the same conclusion that I'm sure your erstwhile colleagues are drawing. This is not some empty ilaka where just an explosion has taken place. It's at 7 o'clock, height of traffic in Delhi, outside a metro station, Red Fort, Chandni Chowk, in the middle of the biggest crowds that are there, both pedestrian and traffic. it is a large explosion. This is not a small explosion. Now we can argue the semantics of it, but anything that has caused the level of fatalities and the level of, and I have to say, carnage, we are obviously blurring those visuals for you because there's things that I mean, those are body parts, not even bodies. So this is ladies and gentlemen, I'm not a forensic analyst, not a medical doctor as well, but in certain cases, if you have a minor explosion, the fatalities are not caused by the explosion. The fatalities are caused either due to the fire that is caused, if people are unable to escape from their vehicles, or they are caused by smoke inhalation. Those are how the fatalities are caused. In this case, and we can't show it to you because we have guidelines that we have to follow for obvious reasons. There will be children watching. But what has been witnessed and spoken on the ground are body parts, limbs that are scattered on the streets of Chandni Chowk. And that would indicate to you that a very serious explosion has taken place. Now, the semantics would tell you that it is either low intensity or high intensity. High intensity blast is the definition of an improvised explosive device. Improvised explosive devices are well known to either have being base constructed on ammonium nitrates or variants, therefore RDX and others are familiar to us. Now, we don't know which of it is. We know because we have seen with our own eyes the chemical sampling kits. We can see that the teams that have arrived, right about the people who are wearing their plastic sheaths and plastic gloves that have gone in to do the chemical analysis, we know that they are doing the chemical analysis for all known explosives, and those signatures will be readily obvious very rapidly. Some of these chemical tests can give a result on the spot on what has happened, and others require further investigation. So there is a vacuum of information, ladies and gentlemen, as we cover this live. Currently, the fires have now been all put out. The area is completely sealed. There are alerts across the national capital and the national capital region, and alerts in all metros in the north, east and west of India as we speak. We don't have any information of any investigations that are taking place in any other parts of the national capital. If you are concerned and worried, obviously the logical advice that one can give you, even though this is not an official notice yet, but the logical advice that one can give you that it is perhaps a good evening to avoid crowded areas and be at home while we see how this plays out, and we give our police the chance to give us accurate information. We don't want the Commissioner of Police speculating from the streets of Delhi on what has taken place, even though I would assume and presume that they are suspecting the worst because, well, fatalities have indeed happened. Joyita Basu joining us on the broadcast. Joyita, we are in a vacuum of information. We have to take the care and caution to observe what the police are telling us. In the limited nature, just as a lay person watching what has happened, it looks like something malified has taken place rather than something incidentally accidental.
Yes, Rishabh, and that is what exactly it looks like. In fact, there was initially some speculation that possibly it was some kind of a cylinder blast. But
is that an eyewitness? Can we listen to this?
Yeah, but I don't.
Yeah, Joyita,
नहीं, पुलिस वाला कोई घायल नहीं है। ज्यादातर जो पुलिस वाला था ही नहीं ना मौके पे। दो पुलिस वाले चौकी में शायद है सामने से। ओके मैम, चलिए चलो गाड़ी कौन सी थी? आप गाड़ी को बता धमाका हुआ है, लास्ट में 7674 है, धमाका हुआ है। क्या मूव कर रही थी, कैसे थी गाड़ी? मूव थी, सारी गाड़ी मूव पे थी। जो ब्लास्ट हुई है मूव में ही हुई है, रुकी हुई नहीं। मैं रोड के उस पार था, दूसरी तरफ था, अपोजिट साइड, मेट्रो गेट नंबर 1 पे था। क्या देखा आपने? गाड़ी ब्लास्ट होती देखी ना, मैं तो जा रहा था घर अपने मेट्रो से। जब देखा गाड़ी ब्लास्ट हुई है तो मैं घर क्यों गया, फिर रोड पार करके इधर बचा। गाड़ी से थे या पैदल थे? नहीं पैदल, मैं तो मेट्रो से जा रहा था, पैदल था। ये मारुति की गाड़ी है, सुजुकी। हाँ,
कितनी दूरी पे शिफ्ट तो बाकी है। गेट नंबर 1 धर्मेंद्र जी, गेट नंबर 1 से कितनी दूरी पर थी?
अपोजिट साइड है गेट नंबर, उधर है दूसरी रोड पे।
हाँ,
Okay, so what that eyewitness is saying is that he had just exited gate number 1 of the metro station at Red Fort. The blast took place right across the road, which means on the other side of the road. He has confirmed what the police have just told us, that the blast took place in a moving vehicle. It was a vehicle, a Suzuki vehicle, but it took place in a moving vehicle. It was not a parked car. And he witnessed the explosion and eventually witnessed the fire that took place, which of course you can see on your screens in the immediate aftermath. Now, the live visuals which on the right side of your screens are indicating now all those fires have been doused. All the injured have been taken to hospital. At least 8 of them have been reported dead on arrival. And I'm sorry to report to you that some of the fatalities would have left the mortal remains almost unrecognizable and badly maimed, which is of course troubling and unhappy news. Joyita, sorry to have interrupted you. Please carry on. It looks like something insidious has taken place, even though we can't confirm it because the police have it.
About this moving car is something I think the police will obviously be looking into, because were the bombs being transported from one place to another, or was it a case of because if it has happened in a moving car, is it a case of a suicide bombing? Then obviously the whole thing takes a totally different dimension. It becomes a, I mean, assuming that it is the worst, as you said, assuming that it is a terrorist attack, then obviously the whole thing is about to know if it is a Fidain case or not. And the other thing is that otherwise what was their original target? That they were basically planning to park the car and maybe vanish. So the driver's identity obviously cannot be maybe some kind of DNA remains and all.
Yeah, because Joyita, it seems like that whoever was in the car, they are the fatalities. Now it could be an innocent person who's had something planted in his car that he or she is unaware of. It could be, as you mentioned, that something other than CNG was being carried in that car, either with malified intent or otherwise. This does not look like this was some post Diwali fireworks that were being unloaded by some shop wala and something went wrong. This was an explosion that has shook the ground of nearby buildings. It's been a nasty one. Quick updates. The Maharashtra Chief Minister has held a meeting, and you can well imagine. High alert has also been sounded in Katra. Now, this is of course, we are getting incidental information from various bureaus across the country. You can well imagine that from Kolkata to Mumbai, so the north, east, west of India, all major towns and cities are currently in a situation of alert. Joyita, obviously we'll have to now figure out the second obvious thing is that the time and place where this has happened, I just can't, you can't shake it. 7 p.m. or just shy of 7 p.m. outside a metro station in one of the most congested parts of Old Delhi, almost SOP for people who would want to do something wrong.
Yes, absolutely. If it is a Fidain attack, I mean, the time and place was chosen carefully. If it was an accidental, because they were planning to place the bomb somewhere, and we are being told there are several targets in the city. So, you see, until and unless police gives us an idea, we will, okay, we are obviously speculating, but we do not have much beyond speculation. But the fact of the matter is that it looks like sleeper cells are being activated. So if the Pakistani game is, and it goes without saying the Pakistani hand is involved in this, but the thing is we also have to find out, what exactly the trail of these people. Because always remember what the Prime Minister said, that any act of terror in this country will be regarded as an act of war. So this has to be, the government will have to look into it very, very seriously. How much has Pakistan been emboldened by Donald Trump's support in this case? Now, if that is the case, I think this also should be taken up with the Americans in particular. That, this is what you are doing to us by
Yeah, but
being by.
so we all know how this plays out. Okay, and then of course the Americans will be expecting Nobel Prizes for sharing intelligence with us. So we know how this plays out, unfortunately, Joyita. But as things stand, ladies and gentlemen, we are heading into the late evening, into the night of Monday night, and we are well a couple of hours after this incident. And as yet, other than the fatality count, which is at 8, and the only good news being that that does not seem to be climbing. So, the fatality count at 8 does not seem to be climbing. We've been speaking to all our reporters. Do I have my colleague with us? Javed, if you can hear us, can you update us कि अभी क्या खबर आ रही है? When are we expecting कि पुलिस स्टेटमेंट करेगी और बताएगी कि क्या हुआ है वहाँ पर, इन्वेस्टिगेशन, केमिकल एनालिसिस क्या चल रहा है, क्या पता है हमें?
और देखिए यहाँ पर जो है अभी जो दिल्ली पुलिस की तरफ से यहाँ पे बैरिकेडिंग कर दी गई है ऋषभ जी, और यहाँ से सामने ही जहाँ पे जो शिखर लिखा हुआ जो आपको दिखाई दे रहा है बोर्ड, वहाँ पर मेट्रो गेट नंबर 1 है और वहाँ पर ही ये पूरी जो घटना हुई है। फिलहाल इसमें अब तक के जो है जानकारी मिल रही कि 8 लोगों की मौत हो चुकी। ये आंकड़ा और बढ़ सकता है। यहाँ पर इस वक्त सेंट्रल एजेंसी के साथ साथ दिल्ली पुलिस की जो स्पेशल सेल की जो टेरर यूनिट है वो भी यहाँ पर पहुंच चुकी है और यहाँ पर इन्वेस्टिगेशन कर रही है। आप देख सकते हैं कि मंजर पूरी तरीके से यहाँ पर जो एम्बुलेंस के साथ साथ दिल्ली पुलिस के तमाम जो सीनियर अधिकारी हैं, जो ऑफिसर्स हैं, वो यहाँ पर पहुंच चुके हैं। अगर हम आपको बताएं कि दिल्ली पुलिस की स्पेशल सीपी जो इंटेलिजेंस है वो भी यहाँ पर अभी थोड़ी देर पहले पहुंचे हैं। यहाँ पे दिल्ली पुलिस के तमाम जो इस डिस्ट्रिक्ट के जो सीनियर्स
just stay with me. Rajan Bhagat, former Delhi Police PRO, on the broadcast with us. Mr. Bhagat, obviously, sir, both you and I are operating in a vacuum of information. You might know something which, for obvious reasons, you can't share with us on television. But if you can help our viewers understand what would be the standard operating procedure right now in terms of beginning this investigation to identify what has happened.
Good evening. As you are already reporting that all the agencies are on high alert and everybody is all agencies are doing their respective jobs. And senior political as well as police officials are on the job and they are on the toes, and it's a very initial stage to say any particular comment or say what kind of a explosion and other things could have happened. Police is investigating, forensic agencies are examining what is the kind of blast. My only appeal through you to the public is that stay calm and don't believe in the rumor mongers, and there should not be any panic anywhere. Stay alert and keep calm yourself and don't believe on the rumors.
Okay, fair enough, sir. And we hope to hear back from you, sir, once we have more information on what has actually taken place, because one fears the worst, hopes for the best, but when 8 people have died, it's difficult to find right now. Rajan Bhagat joining us on the broadcast, giving you sage advice, stay calm, let's not panic. But it would, in equal breath, one would recommend that, unless you have some urgent work, it would be a good evening to avoid crowded areas and call it a night, an early evening at home. I have a lot of information coming our way. It doesn't confirm anything, but it is telling you how seriously this matter is being looked at, and we can draw our own conclusions. There is a high-level meeting which is being conducted as we speak by none other than the Home Minister Amit Shah. I've been told that the Commissioner of Police of Delhi has met him. Tapan Deka, who is the head of the Intelligence Bureau, has also met with Amit Shah. I'm told that the NIA DG is also scheduled to meet the Home Minister very, very shortly. The Home Minister has already briefed the Prime Minister post these meetings on what is taking place. The Delhi Health Minister Pankaj Singh is on his way to LNJP Hospital, where he's going to be visiting the injured. Now, interestingly, and more breaking developments coming our way, which we want to put out on your screens, we are being told that a multiple agency interrogation is being done of at least one suspect that has been arrested from the spot. This suspected person, we are being told, was spotted moving away from the blast site. Now, what it is, who it is, how it is, difficult to say. But our sources are telling us this is not a statement. So, this is source based information which comes with its own caveats for obvious reasons. But a multiple agency interrogation is being taken place, and well, you know, the agencies there which are involved is the Delhi Police. The Delhi Police has a special cell that operates as well, which houses our version of the ATS in Delhi. The NIA as well as the Intelligence Bureau are all involved. Now, well, ladies and gentlemen, I have no good news to report when something serious like this has taken place. Major General Anuj Mathur joining us on the broadcast. Mr. Meena is also joining us on the broadcast. Mr. Meena, I know the police have not confirmed anything yet, but all the senior officers of all the agencies are attending an emergency meeting at the MHA. It seems to indicate that they are also concerned, very deeply concerned by what has taken place. Now, given the timing, given the location, given what we've seen on our screens, it looks like something malefied has happened, sir. Mr. Meena, if you can hear us, sir.
Yes, this is an unfortunate incident. And in fact, it's too early to comment what exactly has happened. In fact, now police officers as well as forensic team, they have reached there, they will decide, they will examine everything, and then they will conclude what exactly has happened. But this is very unfortunate incident, and in fact, police should investigate and conduct inquiry in a systematic way. They should find out exactly what happened. And in such an area, if such thing happen, like it gives very bad image of the Delhi police, and police should conclude as early as possible. Now it is, but it is still too early. What is the incident? Whether it's some blast caused by some technical issues of CNG or cylinder blast, or is a terrorist explosion and terrorist act. It is too early to comment.
Okay,
because
so
only
yeah,
police...
so I can confirm what we know for sure, that this was an explosion, it was not a fire. Okay, it's not a fire preceding an explosion, it's an explosion preceding a fire. So an explosion has taken place. The explosion has been large enough to set the cars around it on fire. It has been large enough to maim bodies, perhaps even decapitate bodies. That smacks of something other than a cylinder blast. Now, I don't know, but at this point of time, well, I can tell you that there's an high alert on the Delhi-Noida border, there's a high alert on the Delhi railway station, there's a high alert in the Mumbai railway station. The NIA team is currently operating on the blast site. The first port of call, of course, is evidence gathering. This is now a forensic investigation primarily on the ground that is taking place. It has to begin with the chemical analysis. Now, Mr. Meena, to the best of our knowledge, I know, can we listen to that?
चेकिंग कराई जा रही है यहाँ पर पूरी टीम है जो BDS टीम है डॉग स्क्वाड है उसके अलावा हम एससीपी हजरतगंज और मैं स्वयं इसके साथी SHO हजरतगंज की टीम पूरी यहाँ पर लगी हुई है साथ में वो चेकिंग जो हम करा रहे हैं ये व्यस्ततम मार्केट है आप भी जान रहे हैं इसके अलावा हमारे रेलवे स्टेशन और जो मेट्रो स्टेशन है संवेदनशील स्थान है वहाँ पर हम चेकिंग कराएंगे आज।
तो क्या दिल्ली में जो अभी ब्लास्ट हुआ है क्या उससे कुछ कनेक्शन है यूपी में जिस वजह से
उस बिंदु पर भी हमारी सतर्क दृष्टि है उच्चाधिकारीगण के निर्देश में ये जो चेकिंग है चेकिंग प्रक्रिया जारी है।
अच्छा कब तक ये चेकिंग चलेगी और क्या कुछ
जो व्यस्तम इलाके हैं उनके हम जो भीड़ भाड़ वाले क्षेत्र हैं संवेदनशील जगह हर जगह हम चेकिंग कराएंगे आज।
Okay, well, you can imagine that increased patrolling has taken place and all the senior officers are out on the street in various parts of the country. Let me get back to Mr. Meena. Mr. Meena, I am assuming that the first port of call when it comes to a chemical analysis is using handheld devices in situ on the spot. Then, of course, forensic samples can go to a laboratory later. But what kind of technological expertise is available to us in terms of equipment to identify what has caused the blast? What has caused the blast? To the best of your knowledge, sir.
We have got explosive detectors with the police department as well as NSG they have got. And they have got different type of equipment. They can immediately examine whether it is a explosive or not. So preliminary examination, they can conclude on the site itself whether it is explosive. But it depends how police is taking action and how they conclude and how they examine, how they conclude. But in fact, in preliminary stage itself, police has got all equipments to conclude that it is explosive. Which kind of explosive, what kind of that can be examined later
So
on.
are these handheld devices, to the best of my knowledge, sir, some of them can give you a result within minutes?
Within no time, results can be given. There are equipments available with energy as well as Delhi police and police authority. Every police has got that explosive detection. Like we have got explosive detection team, like our bomb detection team we call. So it is already available. So they can conclude and they can say. But in this case, like such cases, police take time to examine because they want that they should not be wrong in giving conclusion
Okay,
and
but I
giving
think the
state.
writing is on the wall, Mr. Meena, because as we speak, we have information to be shared. And let me read this out to you. As of tonight, in Mumbai, in Varanasi, in Sambal, in Ayodhya, in Mathura, red alerts have been sounded. In Bengal, in Assam, the police have been put on alert. Alerts are now being sounded on all major airports in the north, west, and east of India. This includes also important buildings, including Parliament House in Delhi and its adjoining buildings, which host bureaucratic offices. We are almost at a level of an unofficial national alert, which has been locally declared. You can see patrols of the police are out and about on streets all across the country. I would not like to think that other than just precaution, this is being done if the prima facie suspicion is that a innocuous CNG cylinder has blown up in one part of the country. One can only conclude that the dog squads are out. There you see on Lucknow, the dog squads are out on the streets. That the suspicion is something that insidious has happened. We are waiting for a confirmation. General Sivach, so here we have it, sir. Now, the writing is on the wall. We have to wait for a statement that has to come either from the MHA or the Delhi police. I'm assuming it will come from the Commissioner of Police in Delhi, because the NIA and the IB doesn't make statements. The NIA makes statements only later in the investigation. So we have to assume the worst at this point of time for the argument's sake. If we assume the worst, sir, that at 7 p.m. in this kind of location, a large explosion has taken place, well, where does that leave us, sir?
Absolutely. See, Rishabh, there are two, three, you can get the issues settled here in this case. One thing is very certain. It is unlikely to be, you can say, CNG or a cylinder gas blast, because in that, the casualty wouldn't have been so much and the blast wouldn't have been of high intensity. This seemingly looks to be a terrorist action, and where the explosive is used, maybe RDX also. The preliminary investigation will be carried out and it will be known very soon. But the way the things are unfolding, the way we have put alarm throughout the whole country, it seems that it is possibly a terrorist action, and link it with what has happened in last 24 years, last 24 hours. The point is that the 3 doctors, in fact 4 doctors who have been nabbed and who were basically, you can say, white collared terrorism, wherein they are least suspected. They were involved in having ammonia nitrate, AK-47, as well as poisonous injection was being prepared in Ahmedabad. So all this point out toward that there was something being done by ISI to do some sort of a blast, and possibly this can be linked with it, but let's wait for the time being. But one thing is very clear, Rishabh, in last about 10 to 12 years, no major blast had taken place in or any terrorist action had taken place other than Jammu and Kashmir. That shows that our NIA and our interagency, there is a lot of coordination between the state and central government. Before the terrorists can think of taking action, preemptive actions are taken and they are nabbed. And the fault lines which were existing earlier, the gap which was there, especially between interstate boundaries and also on a high intensity population area, are no more there. There is a well fortified, you can interagency work.
Just coming back to the immediacy of what is taking place. Now, we have confirmation from the police and it is corroborated from the eyewitnesses whom you heard on television, who are saying that this was not a car parked on the side of the road. Now, in the past, in Delhi specifically, when we've seen terror attacks, and we don't know if it's a terror attack or not, but let's assume the worst for the sake of argument. We've seen them take place with packets that have been put into dustbins. We've seen them take place in packets that have been put on the back of bicycles and packets that have been put on the back of two-wheelers. In other parts of Jammu and Kashmir, we've seen where cars loaded with explosives, and one, of course, attack on a convoy of Jawans was a car loaded with explosives, which was a Fidain attack, a suicide attack, in which a car loaded with explosives was brought next to a convoy bus and then ignited. Now, the police and the eyewitnesses tell us, sir, that this was not a parked car. This was a car in traffic. It was moving and it had people inside it. Now, what option does that leave? Does that leave the option that these people were unaware of something planted in their car, or worse, that they knew exactly what was planted in their car and had intention to do this in a particular place at a particular time?
Very clear. When there is a Fidain attack, whatever happened in Pulwama, there was a Fidain attack, and I have been in Kashmir Valley for 25 years. One knows how Fidain attacks are done. Here, of course, it's seemingly more than one people. Then, in case if there was explosive, they were aware of it. Have they prematurely detonated it? Has there been some instruction which has come across the border that you have to blast off? But if that was the case, why there were three of them? There could have been only one. He could have tried for Fidain, or he would have detonated by a remote control. So all these are question marks, and therefore that's why the police is not coming forward and declaring it a
okay. I have bad news. I suspect, sir, that the writing is on the wall. Half of the country is on high alert right now. Okay, I don't think half the country is on high alert on the basis of a suspected CNG blast. I don't think the Home Minister has called up the NIA DG, the IB chief, the Commissioner of Police, all to come and convene at the MEA and brief the Prime Minister on a CNG blast. So prima facie, they're suspecting the worst, and we're just waiting for confirmation. So the writing is on the wall. Let's call it for what it is, and wait for the statement before we can write it out. But let's, we don't have to be naive about it. Now, as we speak, unfortunately, I have bad news. And it's tragic news. We are being told that the fatality count is now 12. So it's gone up to 12, ladies and gentlemen. There are at least another 12 who are injured, and I'm being told many of them are in bad shape, serious injuries. So the fatality count, unfortunately, is probably going to go up. Now, as this trickles up, you realize that something significantly large in terms of an explosion has taken place. And the unfortunate things that we have seen would indicate that from the get-go, that something large has taken place. You've seen limbs strewn on the ground. Now, I repeat to you, ladies and gentlemen, if there is an example, an LPG cylinder blast in your house, okay, it can happen. These things are not unknown of. These blasts can cause fatality due to the nature of the blast, which is the shock wave of the blast, the shrapnel that is released from the exploding cylinder, which is a high pressurized cylinder, can cause fatalities. But in many cases, these small blasts lead to fire and smoke, and the majority of fatalities happen due to either fire if you are trapped and unable to escape, or due to smoke inhalation. To have a radius of about 10-20 meters in which the cars have been completely destroyed. I mean, there are some cars which have caught fire, so you can't assess how much of the damage is fire damage versus how much is blast damage. But the other cars you can tell, and we've counted at least 8 that are completely destroyed. This is not a minor explosion that has taken place. The eyewitnesses on the ground, they saw body parts lying on the streets of Chandni Chowk. So let's not kid ourselves. Something very serious has taken place. Let me get Joyita back in. So Joyita, we of course have to wait. Now, if there is a red alert in Kolkata and Mumbai, in Katra, in Jammu and Kashmir, in Varanasi, in Ayodhya, let's not kid ourselves that until we receive a press statement or a press conference, which I'm assuming will happen shortly, but I think we can see we can read between the lines of what has taken place. Now, the immediate concern then, Joyita, becomes exactly that is this a solitary incident or heaven forbid?
Well, I think we cannot assume anything, but having seen what happened over the last few days in terms of the weapons and RDX, etc., the explosives being captured, I think it is part of, this is a definite attempt to revive attacks throughout India, number one. And obviously these will be lone wolf attacks. I mean, apparently they look like lone wolf attacks, but there must be people, because the kind of explosives that have been used, lone wolf attacks, I don't think that can really happen. They do not have that, maybe they do not have that kind of access. So
okay, all right. Sorry to interrupt you, Joyita. We are expecting the Home Minister to speak out on this very, very shortly. Within a few seconds, you will be able to hear him on your screens. I'll confirm that to you as it happens. Joyita, carry on.
Yeah, so you see what we are witnessing is likely the sleeper cells being activated, and it is unfortunately and sadly, it looks like it is all, it is coordinated.
आज शाम करीब 7 बजे दिल्ली में लाल किले के पास सुभाष मार्ग ट्रैफिक सिग्नल पर I-20 हुंडई गाड़ी में एक ब्लास्ट हुआ है। ब्लास्ट के कारण आसपास की कुछ गाड़ियां और कुछ मार्ग पर जा रहे लोग भी इंजर्ड होने के समाचार हैं। प्राथमिक सूचना जो मिली है उसमें कुछ लोग हताहत भी हुए हैं। ब्लास्ट की सूचना आते ही 10 मिनट में दिल्ली क्राइम ब्रांच, दिल्ली स्पेशल ब्रांच की टीमें स्पॉट पर पहुंची है। NSG और NIA की टीम FSL के साथ अभी गहन जांच करने का शुरू किया है। आसपास के स्थान के सभी CCTV कैमरा और बाकी सब चीज़ों की जांच के आदेश दे दिए हैं। मेरी CP दिल्ली से भी बात हुई है, स्पेशल ब्रांच के इंचार्ज से भी बात हुई है। CP दिल्ली और स्पेशल ब्रांच के इंचार्ज स्पॉट पर मौजूद हैं। हम सभी संभावनाओं को तराश रहे हैं और सभी संभावनाओं को ध्यान में रखकर इसकी गहन जांच की जाएगी। सभी ऑप्शन की तुरंत जांच होकर नतीजा जो आएगा, जांच हम जनता के सामने रखेंगे। मैं कुछ ही देर में स्पॉट पर भी जा रहा हूं और अस्पताल में भी मैं तुरंत जाऊंगा।
Okay, all right. That's the Home Minister there. There you have the clarification. Now, he is making it pretty clear that all options, all lines of investigation are on the table. Now, you can read into that what you may. It's the additional information that he's just given us is 7:20 p.m. the time, and a I-20 Hyundai car. So, not a Maruti car. The Maruti car were the ancillary victims of the explosion that have taken place. The explosion has in fact taken place in an I-20 Hyundai car at 7:20 p.m. The Home Minister, whom we know, has met with the IB chief. He has met with the NIA DG. He has met with the Commissioner of Police of Delhi. He has briefed the Prime Minister. in a meeting that was taking place in the Ministry of Home Affairs. That meeting is now concluded. This statement has come immediately after the meeting is concluded, and he's told us that he will be visiting the location after the FSL and all the other teams have already reached the site. He'll also be going to the LNGP hospital to visit the wounded at this point of time. He has confirmed that there are casualties and fatalities, of course not giving us a number. The number we have confirmed from the LNGP hospital medical superintendent is 8 dead, and our sources are telling us that that unfortunately has risen to 12 in the interim period. Also 12 fatalities and at least a dozen injured, many of them seriously, which would seem to indicate that there would be potentially more fatalities. As I've mentioned, as we speak, in Mumbai, in Varanasi, in Ayodhya, in Mathura, in Sambal, in Katra, in Bengal, in Assam, in all large metropolitan airports, including Parliament House and other offices of the union government, an alert has been sounded. In Lucknow, we have seen dog squads that are out on the streets. There is no advisory that has yet been issued that I am currently aware of in any of these places. So there is no advisory issued to the public in any of these places that we are yet aware of. So it is being taken with seriousness. The only summation of advice that I can hope to suggest is that don't panic, but if you don't need to be in a crowded market tonight, it's probably best to call it an early evening and be at home and let the investigation pan out. The visuals on your screens, ladies and gentlemen, have told us that a very serious explosion has taken place. Now we are in for a long night and a long day tomorrow. Elections are of course on in Bihar tomorrow morning. Results are expected on Friday. We've had these busts of almost 400 kilograms of ammonium nitrate that have been recovered barely about 30 kilometers from where this explosion has taken place towards the east of Delhi in Faridabad. We've had other recoveries that have taken place in other parts of the country. Now, Joyita, could be totally unrelated, could nothing to do with each other. Okay, it could be totally coincidental that this has happened, but when things go wrong, it's very unlikely it's coincidence. 2 days ago, there is a new formula of post that is created in Pakistan for Asim Munir. 24 hours later, large busts take place, and then less than 24 hours later, a major explosion in the national capital of India.
No, nothing is coincidental. Rishabh, increasingly, sadly, I would say, it is not looking coincidental. Because as we were discussing just before this, the card and the kind of blast radius you look at, it is definitely not, it is unlikely to be a lone wolf attack, because when it comes to lone wolf attacks, that kind of amassing of explosives to cause that kind of fatality and damage is unlikely. So there is it is, that is why all the cities will have to be very careful, because this could be the beginning of a series of attacks. So we need to up our security in a very big way. And the thing is that when you are talking about the Pakistan angle, the problem that has happened is, you see, well, we have to say, Asim Munir has started feeling very emboldened, very, very emboldened by whatever the kind of outreach that Mr. Trump has been making to him. And he thinks he is invincible now, that he can get away literally. And it's very clear that he has to come after India. He has to, they don't like, and then why just Pakistan? I mean, even China does not want us rising. And I think what is happening is that we are, we are, in spite of, see what happened, in spite of the tariffs and all, we did not bend our knees. Okay, so that means we are doing something right somewhere. So obviously, at least in our neighborhood, our immediate neighbors, Bangladesh, Pakistan, both of which are terrorist havens, so they are unhappy. And the thing is that now we have got major enemies on both sides, on all sides of our border.
Okay. All right. Okay, so I mean, ladies and gentlemen, I have to put some caveats out there. we are a broadcast network. There are certain sets of visuals, of course, that we can't show you on television. Fortunately or unfortunately, however the way you might look at it, those do exist. They're of investigative importance to the police, but what they show us is very unpleasant. They show us bodies that have been flung and have landed on top of cars. They show us dismembered remains, limbs that have been blown off. It's very unpleasant. None of this, of course, is digestible because there might be children watching. And as I mentioned, we have to operate on the guidelines, so we are not showing you those visuals. I want to put the caveat out there also that you're seeing visuals. We are marking them very clearly of what has happened around about 2 hours ago or 1.5 hours ago, and what is happening currently. Currently, all the fires have been put out, all the injured and any mortal remains, all have been removed from site. So currently, there is nothing happening other than the investigation on the site. The road is closed. All the major agencies, including the Forensic Sciences Laboratory team, are on spot. But the way the bodies have been flung, the way they've been dismembered. So when the Home Minister tells us that all lines of investigation are open, it's pretty clear what he's telling us and what the investigation is currently trying to confirm. Now, in this case, Mr. Meena, I am assuming that you have to assume the worst, and the worst case scenario is that this is some sort of an attack. Then if you are suspicious that this is some sort of an attack, then you have to go and confirm that this is an attack. Now, other than a chemical analysis, is there any other physical evidence that would indicate that this is a high intensity blast?
Yes, we have got, besides chemical, we have got equipment to decide, and by physical examination also, police officers, forensic experts, they can immediately conclude what exactly happened. By now, I think they might have known also, but they may reveal afterwards what exactly has happened. So there is no problem in concluding with physical evidence. Physical also, if there is explosive, you can find out this was explosive. So there are physical examination, there are chemical examination, there are lab examination. So by physical also we can find out whether it was explosive or not.
Okay. So Mr. Meena, now I don't want to speculate too much, but just in a generic way, because you and I don't have information on this specific case, but in a generic way, there is certain information which the police, as you say, already knows, which they don't want to share with us, because they also have to hunt the people and they don't want those people to know what they know. So at this point of time, what becomes a priority, because eventually this has to come down to catching the people. Now, either this was potentially a suicide blast case, in which case the immediate perpetrator is one of the fatalities, is one of the dead among the bodies that have been found, or indeed it is somebody who planted something or tried to detonate something and is trying to escape, which means a manhunt has to be done. So obviously the police have to now figure out the first few hours is what I'm trying to ask you. How important are the first few hours, sir?
These are very important. If it is a terrorist attack, if somebody has escaped from here, it is duty of police to catch hold of that person. It is duty of the police to alert all police stations, all pickets, all checking points, and each and every vehicle has to be checked as per their, like we have got their SOP, as per their standing operating procedure. They should check each and everything. Then what evidence they have got from the spot, because sometimes we get evidence from the spot, they have to be cross-checked immediately. The number of vehicles which they got from there, the numbers have to be cross-checked. These vehicles belong to so and so persons. So those places also have to be checked. Like when Parliament attack took place, I was DCP of that area. We could find out within no time the exact details about the car which was used for the terrorist attack. So it is very easy to find out immediately. And I hope experts and police officers, they are doing this thing.
Okay. So
whatever vehicles are available there, they
okay. I'm sorry to interrupt you, sir. Live visuals on your screen, ladies and gentlemen, but they're not live. They're deferred live because for security reasons, obviously, you understand, we've learned these lessons in 2008 when the terrorists themselves are watching on TV what's going on. So this is slightly deferred. This is from the hospital where the Home Minister is visiting the people who are obviously injured. Now, you can well imagine just in some cases just figuring out what has happened and who these bodies are is going to be difficult. What we've seen is beyond tragic. I cannot recall a single case of a CNG or an LPG blast that has caused this much damage that 12 people are dead, potentially 20 people are dead in an intersection in an open road. In a confined area, literally in a steel shuttered room, shock waves can cause those kind of fatalities from a very low intensity blast. But in open air, difficult to suggest. You can well imagine that the Home Minister is taking it very, very seriously. All lines of investigation are open, is what he said in the minutes before he has travelled to the LNJP hospital, where he will be meeting some of the injured. Now, let me get Mr. Meena back before I get General Sivaj back into this conversation. Mr. Meena, I have to ask this question because every cop has a gut instinct, and of course you nurtured that gut instinct your entire life. How dangerous is it? Because in the past we have always seen serial, not one. It's always more than one. We've seen in the past sometimes that one blast is done and the commotion that is caused by the blast, a secondary blast follows. Now, it's been 2.5 hours, but I'm assuming that we have to think that this is not just one and prepare for the worst there also.
In fact, this can only be told after examination. This is a serious blast, as you are telling, and everybody is predicting. And this is a serious issue. This is a serious incident. And only after examination, as I told you, the dead bodies which have been recovered from there, each and every has to be the dead bodies, and their identification is to be done. Now, first of all, the vehicles are to be identified, checking has to be there, whatever evidences are available with the police there, all sequence of events have to be checked. And these steps are to be taken immediately. A group of officers, they must be working and they must find out and conclude what exactly has happened, who has got hands in this. If it is a terrorist attack, then they have to conclude, they have to reach up to the route from where these explosives have come, what exactly, because now we could see for last few days, like we can see that a lot of explosives have been recovered in many, so those, whether it has got linkage with that, everything has to be examined by police sequence wise. Then only we can conclude. But one thing is clear, the police of officers of all states and UTs, they have to remain alert. If it is terrorist attack, then it should not be repeated anywhere. So they should intensify their checking.
Okay.
Checking is necessary, examination necessary, vehicles checking is continuously, places like all anti-terrorist measures have to be taken. And
okay, so the visuals, I'm sorry to interrupt you, so the visuals you see on your screens are the latest visuals. Now, these are from inside the LNJP hospital, where even inside the LNJP hospital, the Home Minister is taking a briefing from the police officers who have joined him, and an update is being taken. A very animated conversation is happening from the police officers. I'm trying to confirm whether that's the Commissioner of Police or the DCP who is sitting with him. Brian, my colleague, is joining us. Brian, a very urgent conversation is going on. Do we know, is the Commissioner of Police on site right now? What do we know?
Well, Rishabh, as of now, we are outside the LNGT hospital. I'll show you the visuals there. This place has been entirely barricaded because just a while back, the Home Minister Amit Shah reached LNGT hospital. Not only that, he is inside to talk to citizens and to see how the situation is. Not only that, you see this entire place has been cordoned off completely, and this has been completely heavily barricaded. You can see CRPF, Delhi police officials completely barricaded. This is gate number 5. Clearly, we are not allowed to go inside because the Home Minister is inside, and he's taking a cognizance of the situation, talking to the victims who have been in a very critical condition. As of now, 60% brain injuries have also been taken into consideration of the victims. Here also, apart from us, there are other media channels here itself, but you can see the visuals, the fact that these entire places have been completely cordoned off, completely sealed off, and here at every interval, every 50 meters, 100 meters, there is a heavy deployment of police officials here. Ambulances are here, PCR vehicles here, and all of these have been here as meanwhile even the Home Minister is talking to the victims, and clearly a very distressing issue for the LGB. 8 people have lost their lives, several others have been injured. There is still no clarity as of the reason of this very tragic incident that has happened, but you can see heavy deployment of vehicles, heavy deployment of police forces, and complete, calling off that has happened at this very road.
Brian, do me a favor, have a conversation with Javed and update us on who are the senior officers who are briefing the Home Minister. What they are briefing, of course, is nobody's business until a statement can be made. So we'll stay away from that. There will be certain information that should not be put into the public domain, that you and I should not know, because we have to eventually catch the guys who've done it, and we have to now also assume that somebody's done this. Let me get General Sivach back into this conversation. Now, General Sivach, thankfully and troublingly, I have lived through this city all my life. So I remember 2008, I remember 2005, and I remember the modus operandi then. If I'm not mistaken, in 2005, when it happened before Diwali, this was Sarojini Nagar, Paharganj. Now, crowded market areas, right before Diwali, people are out shopping in large numbers. In Govindpuri, another explosion took place on a bus. Now, this was vehicles that were used where bags had been planted. 2 vehicles parked on the side of the road, 1 bag planted in a moving bus, which exploded. This was 2005. That was an LET attack. 50 people had been killed. 200 had been injured at that point of time. In 2008, many people who are from Delhi will remember Gafar Market, Connaught Place, M Block Market, which is GK1. These were dustbins, bicycles. So, packages that were put inside dustbins or packages that were put on top of bicycles. There were other bombs that were diffused. One of them in India Gate, again in a dustbin it was found. So there was a modus operandi. This time around, what we know for sure, General Sivach, is that this I-20 was moving. It was in traffic, but there were people inside this car, and it was a moving car. Now, what do we make of that? Is there a possibility, even a percentage chance, that these people knew what they were doing and blew themselves up?
Yeah, Rishabh, your voice was not very clear. There was distortion coming, but all said and done, I have understood your question. But one thing is very clear, that in case we take it that it is a CNG oblique basically a gas cylinder blast, because there were people inside, it couldn't have been a Fedayeen attack. There were not one, there were 2-3 people. But where it is pointing out again, as far as terrorist action is concerned, the intensity of blast is so strong that almost about 10 to 12 people have been killed, and there are about 3 to 4 vehicles around that they have been also blown. It gives the indication that whatever may be the reason, there is a chance of being IED used or the explosive used or the RDX used. Now, how do we find out whether it was a cylinder or whether it was explosive? As my co-panelist was also indicating, see, I have seen number of IED blasts, at least about 15 to 20 in Kashmir Valley. Now, IED blast, once you use RDX, it gives you a smell, and it also gives you fragments. You can make out the RDX was used. So, in the preliminary investigation, you can easily make out whether it was a blast due to gas cylinder or the CNG blast, or it was basically a ID blast or explosive been used, because
Okay,
the
but
smell will give
you know,
that
I know it's not official yet, but let's call a spade, sir. Of the I-20 car, there's nothing left. Prime Minister Modi putting out this statement: condolences to those who have lost their loved ones in the blast in Delhi earlier this evening. May the injured recover at the earliest. Those affected are being assisted by authorities. I've reviewed the situation with Home Minister Amit Shah ji and other officials. That's the statement on your screens that the Prime Minister has put out after he's had a briefing, as we've been reporting to you, with the Home Minister, who currently is in the LNJP hospital. In a meeting, he's meeting with the police, receiving the latest update. General Sivach, of the car, which was the I-20 car, there's nothing left, sir. Just the wheels. Everything is gone. There is at least one Wagoner right behind it, which is, again, it's crumpled like it's gone through. Somebody has taken a can and crushed it. There is at least one other Maruti car, one of those minivan types, which has its door smashed in. Couple of autos, roofs are gone. At least one, we can see one of these, these electric rickshaws, e-rickshaws that are used, which is on its side. There's one mini truck where the back end of its entire door is caved in. Difficult to say, sir, but I don't think it take too much rocket science to conclude that a CNG LPG cylinder has caused this. So then it comes to how big the IED was, what kind of explosion has taken place, which I'm assuming is being ascertained at this point of time. But I wanted to come back on the modus operandi, sir, where we saw this last in 2008, that was 17 years ago, where it was tiffin on a bicycle, or a bag thrown into a dustbin, or a bag left in a car, or a bag left in we've never had a situation in which the car was a moving car, sir.
Rishabh, the modus operandi keep on changing. Even in Kashmir Valley, it wasn't one type of this. We had sometimes Fidain attacking taking place, sometimes explosive been planted on the road itself. Sometime in Pulwama there was a Fidain attack which had taken place. So really you can't make out anything with the strategy and tactics which has been adopted by the terrorists. But in case if it is a terrorist act, which possibly seemingly looks to be that, because the intensity of blast is so high, it couldn't be a gas cylinder oblique the CNG leak. Now, having said so, why they have used this? This is a modus operandi. How do they adopt it? They know it that the cat is already out of the bag. Therefore, sleeper cell and overground worker has been already nabbed. They possibly may have been given order that you now do action before you are also being caught. That can be a possibility, because so far in last 10 to 12 years, the NIA has been very, very strong, and you have never seen any blast taking place other than J&K. The reason was the proactive strategy and information and intelligence shared between the state government and the central government. But if this incident is a terrorist action, and which can be only proved once it been declared, then it is a cause of concern as to how this explosive have come, who all were there in I-20, whether it was detonated or it was basically supposed to be Fidain, because Fidain, it can't be there, it has not gone and basically had an impact with anything. It possibly is been remote.
All right. My colleagues on the field who are reporting are insisting that at this point of time, it is too early to draw a conclusion on the nature of the blast that has taken place. That the suspicion of this actually being a CNG cylinder blast has not yet been ruled out. I am repeating and underlining that. The Delhi police have not ruled out that this could have just been a CNG cylinder in a car which caused the blast, which set fire to cars and auto rickshaws, bikes and scooties. So that qualification remains. Can't rule it out. Let me just open up this conversation so that we can pick up. It's being taken seriously as it should be taken seriously. So now, what you're seeing on your screen, ladies and gentlemen, this is a briefing that is taking place at the LNJP hospital. That's Anil Shukla. He is recently been appointed head of the Delhi Police Special Cell. The Special Cell, ladies and gentlemen, is Delhi's equivalent of an anti-terrorist squad. It deals specifically with these kind of insidious cases. He took over literally 2 weeks ago. Satish Golcha is the Delhi Police Commissioner. So those are the two people who are briefing the Home Minister. And in fact, Mr. Rao, who is also served in the Special Cell of the Delhi Police, is joining us on the broadcast. Mr. Rao is looking very bad. Now, our reporters who are in touch with our sources are telling us that we can't yet. It's been almost 2.5 hours. But right now, the CNG angle is not being ruled out. I mean, how difficult would it be to identify if actually the chemical tracing is suggesting something wrong has happened, sir?
Rishabh, good evening, and to all your viewers and co-panelists, good evening to all. There is really a very sad incident which took the life of more than 13 people and so many injured. And so far as the cause of this blast, we can say that definitely you are right, and your reporters are also right. We cannot say at this moment what is the cause of this, whether it's a terrorist attack or maybe a cylinder CNG blast. Could be a CNG blast, because if there is something wrong went into the CNG blast, that will be a very serious blast. In that it's also being reported that there was a loud voice about it, and when it is the fire is being caught in that blast, the surrounding vehicles are also caught with fire, and that may be the reason. But it's too early to say whether it's a bomb blast or not, because FSL, Forensic Science Laboratory experts are there. CNG, NSG people are also there. They are also expert in blast training and all these things. Special cell officials are also there. Senior officers are looking into that, supervising this investigation, and tell an analyst that, as you rightly said, the traces of chemical, if it is found something explosive, traces are found at the spot, which are very difficult.
Okay. Mr. Rao, your former colleague, Mr. Meena, is also with us, and I was just discussing with him. You have the chemical tests, the handheld devices that can go into the spot and can give you a result. Generally, the result comes instantaneously. It's almost within minutes that you get a chemical trace analysis, sir. How accurate are these devices, and how reliably do you, in your opinion, would you consider them, Mr. Rao?
Yes.
These chemical analysis devices, the handheld devices, which allow you to conduct these examinations, how reliable are these devices, sir?
FSL experts take with them these handheld devices to find out at the spot even also. If there is the most important requirement of this testing is that there should be some chemical traces there at the spot. If these are there, then those traces can be explained whether what chemical was there, what explosive was there. Definitely they have some tools which may be carried in hand, and without taking them to the laboratory, they can do that. But I think they have not decided and they have not concluded in that angle, and they are still working on that. And that's why the Delhi police has not clearly come out with that, whether it's a bomb blast or any explosive blast or blast of a gas cylinder. They are still investigating at that, and till
yes, and I repeat to you, for the benefit of our viewers watching and who are deeply concerned and are drawing the same conclusions of what we are drawing, that what the heck has just happened? 12 people are dead, potentially 13, at least 12, many others seriously injured. That fatality count is expected now to rise at the LNJP hospital. 8 were in fact brought dead on arrival. And the visuals we can't show you, of course, is of bodies which have been completely decimated. As you see the Home Minister meeting some of the injured who are now in hospital. So the entire site, ladies and gentlemen, all the fires have been put out. Home Minister is currently at the LNJP hospital. He's had a briefing from the head of the special cell as well as the Commissioner of Police. It was a very animated briefing. What they were discussing, of course, is none of our business. Well, at this point of time, my colleagues, my reporters are insisting that the police is not ruling out the fact that this could merely be a CNG blast, that all the alerts that have been sounded have indeed been sounded out of abundant caution, and we need to take it carefully. Now, what are the likelihoods of that? Let's examine this for a second. Siddharth, can we pull out some details of CNG explosions? Do they actually cause this kind of damage? Now, in June of 2025, an explosion that took place in northeast Delhi. It was a powerful explosion. At least 2 children were killed and several people were injured in the shock wave. It was powerful enough to damage nearby structures. In Najafgarh in October 2024, a CNG tank in a car exploded while it was being filled at a service station. 1 person was injured. In Jalandhar in January of last year, 5 people were killed when the CNG kit in their car caught fire after an accident with a truck, which then led to an explosion. In 2018 in Gurugram, a man died after being burnt when his CNG car caught fire, even though there was no explosion reported. So, have there been CNG blasts that have led to fatalities in the past? The answer is yes. Have there been a CNG explosion in which injuries have taken place? The answer is a lot more. I can think of several incidences that have happened. Have we ever seen a blast this big caused by a CNG cylinder? I can't recall. Where it has shredded bodies and thrown bodies 20 meters away, I can't recall. But we have to draw some conclusions, and the conclusions can only be drawn from information that we are pretty sure what we can see, and they are indicating a major explosion has taken place. It has been large enough that the metro station, which was across the road, which means the metro station gate number 1 was on the other side of the road. Its entire glass facade is shattered. It's lying on the ground in pieces. People who were in buildings, and I've spoken to some of them, in offices and buildings nearby, felt the ground shake with the intensity of the explosion. So, Joyita, we are still in limbo because here we are almost 2.5 hours later, and our reporters are insisting that the police are not ruling out CNG blast, that they are, that's still an open line of conversation, an open line of investigation.
Rishabh, if it is a CNG blast, then obviously more than one CNG cylinder was involved in it. Because you see, from whatever you described, there is no way possible that one cylinder blast can cause this kind of havoc. And it's quite, I would say, this is, as I said, that radius is quite big and the intensity. So, but then there are certain other, of course, source-based information coming in saying that some traces of ammonium nitrate has already been found, and it is but natural if it is true, then the whole thing will be traced back to the Faridabad bombers, potential bombers. They were also the terrorists. They had ammonium nitrate. So, Rishabh, it seems like I don't know what the Delhi police will be saying. Of course, they are being very cautious and rightly so, but I think it is what we are afraid of. I think it is some kind of a terror operation.
Because, Joyita, it can be both. There can be an explosion that also happens next to a cylinder which causes a secondary explosion. So, it can be both. Now, here is the working theory. So, the working theory is that there was a CNG fitted Hyundai i20 car, that there was a blast in that car. The blast caused a fire in about 7 cars around it, an auto rickshaw, mobikes and 1 scooty also were burnt. That the gate number 1 of the metro, its glass is shattered, even though it was across the road. that both the gates of the metro have been closed. There you can see the shattered glass there. This is across the road, so about 10, 12, 15 meters away. Now, are high pressured explosions, which there is a flammable gas in a high pressure cylinder, can they cause intense explosions that can cause a lot of damage? I have given you several examples that yes, they can. But what we have seen on our screens is disturbing. But there is a working formula. Now, that does not rule out, because the Home Minister has said that all lines of inquiry are open. But we are here 2.5 hours later. Mr. Meena, of course, the police have to be cautious in concluding what has taken place or ruling out what has taken place. But let us assume now in the other case that actually this was incidental and accidental, something unfortunate has happened. Then to have a CNG blast that has killed maybe 15 people, so that will be the worst CNG blast in the country ever.
Yes, it is true. If it is CNG blast, it is also very serious. But we can't comment at this stage because experts are examining it, and Delhi police has not given any statement regarding this. First, let's hear official statement, because those who are on the spot, those who have gone on the spot, those who are examining this site or place of occurrence, they can only conclude, and then only we can say what exactly has happened, and we can comment on that. It is too early. We can only presume what exactly happened. We can only see what are the possibilities. But first, let them come out with this. If it is like a cylinder blast, it is also very serious. If it is terrorist attack, as assumed by people, and it is explosive, and explosives have been used, it is much more serious for police authorities, much more serious. It has got a lot of implications of public, like everybody has to be alert. Again, this will instill fear amongst people who are living in big cities, not only in Delhi, everywhere in the country. Now, for that, even governments have to examine, the police systems have to be strengthened in such a way that such incidents should have not happen. In fact, we can see the various governments are not giving proper resources to the state police what they are demanding. State police is writing to the governments, but government is not providing exactly what they want. It is high time that all governments should examine demand of state police, different police and UT police. Respective governments have to provide resources, have to provide police strength as per requirement. They have to provide vehicles as per their requirement. They should strengthen PCR strength.
Okay.
They should increase number of PCRs as per required by the police, and whatever resources they
Mr.
want.
Meena, because as we often discuss, between the intelligence and the police, their success rate has to be 100%. It can't be 99.9%. It has to be 100%. So that's the reality. Now, we've been fortunate that in no major city in India outside of Jammu and Kashmir has seen a terror attack in more than a decade. 12 years it's been. We've seen horrible ones, of course, happen in Jammu and Kashmir. We all know what happened a few months ago in Pahalgam. Javed, my colleague, is joining us now. As we speak with Javed, I can tell you that there is a red alert that has been sounded in Eastern Railway. So you can imagine that this is being taken very seriously. But Javed, at this point of time, they are still investigating that potentially it's a CNG blast.
और देखिए जो अभी तक की जो जानकारी मिली है ऋषभ जी, जिस तरीके से ब्लास्ट हुआ है ये हाई डेंसिटी ब्लास्ट है, क्योंकि आमतौर पर अगर किसी सीएनजी व्हीकल में भी, देखिए मैं तस्वीरें पहले आपको दिखाना चाहूंगा कि इस वक्त एनएसजी की बॉम्ब डिस्पोजल जो स्क्वाड की टीम है, और ऋषभ जी देखिए वो इस वक्त यहाँ पर पहुंच गई है, और दूसरी तरफ ये मशीन यहाँ पे लाई गई।
That's a team that's armed with automatic rifles, and the vehicles have also come in Something is happening, of course, and Javed, I would recommend you stay away from that spot. We don't have to do live reportage on this. If it comes to us a few minutes later, it's perfectly okay. In case it is the worst case scenario, I don't want to be informing anybody watching live what is going on. So you just give us an overall picture. So what is the suspicion right now? Is the CNG theory still on, or is it out of the window?
और देखिए जो अभी तक की जानकारी है, जिस तरीके से ब्लास्ट हुआ है वो हाई डेंसिटी ब्लास्ट है, क्योंकि आमतौर पर अगर सीएनजी ब्लास्ट होता है या किसी गाड़ी में ब्लास्ट भी होता है आग की वजह से या किसी भी टेक्निकली वजह से, तो इस तरह के फॉल्ट से इतना बड़ा हादसा नहीं होता है, क्योंकि गाड़ी वहीं पर जलकर पूरी तरीके से हो जाता है, किसी तरह का कोई स्पार्क नहीं होता है। लेकिन जिस तरीके से यहाँ पर जो ब्लास्ट हुआ लाल किले के पास गेट नंबर 1 के, वो जो ब्लास्ट है वो पूरी तरीके से ब्लास्ट इस तरीके का है कि उस ब्लास्ट के बाद उस कार में, जो कि हरियाणा नंबर की गाड़ी थी, इको गाड़ी बताई गई है, और उसमें ब्लास्ट के बाद उसके बाद बाकी 8-9 और गाड़ियां उस गाड़ी के पूरे चपेट में आ गई, जिसमें जो तस्वीरें हैं, हालांकि तस्वीरें बेहद दर्दनाक है, और जिसमें जिस तरीके से लोग ब्लास्ट की चपेट में आने के बाद गाड़ी के बोनेट पर जाके गिर गए, और इसमें तकरीबन 8 लोगों की मौत हो गई। और
जावेद 20 मीटर दूर बॉडी बॉनेट पे, गाड़ी के बॉनेट पे गिरी है, अडल्ट बॉडी गिरी है 20 मीटर दूर जाके, तो ये बड़ी हाई इंटेंसिटी ब्लास्ट तो हुआ है। तो क्या तो सीएनजी का भी अब इन्वेस्टिगेट कर रहे हैं, क्योंकि सीएनजी ब्लास्ट भी होते हैं देश में, इतना बड़ा कभी नहीं देखा हमने, बट ये पॉसिबिलिटी अभी भी है कि वो पॉसिबिलिटी अब क्या रद्द कर दी गई है अब?
जो मेरे यहाँ पे कुछ जो सोर्सेज हैं, जो जिस तरीके से यहाँ पे इन्वेस्टिगेशन चल रहा, फॉरेंसिक की टीम है, यहाँ से सामने बिल्कुल जो है आगे रेड लाइट है, जहाँ से दरियागंज का रास्ता शुरू होता है, उस रेड लाइट तक लोगों का कहना है वहाँ तक आवाज़ सुनाई दी थी ऋषभ जी। और पूरी तरीके से जो पीछे रेसिडेंशियल इलाका, मेरे दूसरी तरफ पीछे जो जामा मस्जिद और यहाँ से चांदनी चौक का इलाका पीछे है, जो रेसिडेंशियल इलाका, वहाँ तक जो लोगों ने आवाज़ सुनी थी। आमतौर पर जो सीएनजी अगर गाड़ी में ब्लास्ट होती है, जो लोग जैसा कहते हैं कि इतना डेंसिटी ब्लास्ट नहीं है कि आवाज दूर तक गूंजता है, क्योंकि वो सीएनजी ब्लास्ट होने के बाद बहुत ही कम एरिया तक वो स्पार्क करता है। लेकिन जिस तरीके से ये ब्लास्ट हुआ, इसमें जिस तरीके से 8 गाड़ियां जो है पूरी तरीके से उस गाड़ी में ब्लास्ट होने के बाद उसकी पूरी चपेट में आई, उसके बाद आसपास के जो लोग हैं वो जिस तरीके से वहां पर उसमें उसकी चपेट में आ गए, और 8 लोगों की मौत हो गई, करीबन 24 लोग इंजर्ड हो गए, और डेंसिटी इतनी हाई थी कि पूरी तरीके से जो लोग थे यहाँ पर, जो आसपास के लोग थे, जो हमने आई विटनेस से भी बात की, उनका कहना है कि अभी तक इस आवाज से, इस ब्लास्ट के बाद उनका जो कान है वो पूरी तरह से काम नहीं कर रहा है, क्योंकि उनका कहना है कि हमारी गाड़ी कुछ ही दूरी पर थी और सडनली आवाज हुआ, ब्लास्ट हुआ। अब देखिए यहाँ पर जिस तरीके से एनआईए की भी टीम है और एनएसजी लगातार जो है यहाँ पर अब पहुंच चुकी है, और एनएसजी भी इस पूरे तौर पर अपने जो इक्विपमेंट के साथ, जो बॉम्ब डिस्पोजल इक्विपमेंट है उसके साथ यहाँ पर पहुंची है। और यह भी बताया जा रहा है कि यहाँ पर थोड़ी देर में गृह मंत्री अमित शाह भी यहाँ पर पहुंच सकते हैं, जैसी जानकारी मिल रही है। और अब जो है इन्वेस्टिगेशन जो है वो इन्वेस्टिगेशन पूरी तरीके से यहाँ पर इस वक्त चल रही है, और एनएसजी और नेशनल इन्वेस्टिगेशन एजेंसी यानी एनआईए की जो फॉरेंसिक टीम है, एनआईए की जो बॉम्ब जो आमतौर पर टेरर मॉड्यूल पर और ब्लास्ट में जो काम करती है, वो यहाँ पर एनआईए की टीम मौजूद है। और देखिए पूरी तरीके से इस इलाके को बैरिकेड किया जा रहा है, और दूसरी जगहों से यहाँ पर बैरिकेड यहाँ पर मंगाई जा रही है, और इस इलाके को आगे पूरी तरह से बैरिकेड कर दिया गया है। और वहाँ पर जो टेक्निकल टीम है, दिल्ली पुलिस की बात करें या फिर जो फॉरेंसिक टीम होती है, और इसके अलावा जो क्राइम टीम होती है, वो भी मौके पर है। देखिए यूपी एटीएस भी यहाँ पर पहुंची है इस वक्त। ऋषभ जी, यहाँ पर यूपी एटीएस इस पूरे ब्लास्ट मामले में जो है यहाँ पर पहुंची है। सर क्या आप लोग कुछ बताएंगे सर, यहाँ पर आपको सुपरविजन करने
देखने आया, यूपी एटीएस की तरफ से आए हैं।
आप इस ब्लास्ट को ठीक है, क्या सर दिल्ली से अप्रोच किया था या आप इस मॉड्यूल को जिस तरीके से सहारनपुर में जो मामला हुआ था उसको लेके?
नहीं, अभी कोई कमेंट्स नहीं, अभी बस प्लीज जरा
इन्होंने कहा कि हम यहाँ पर जांच के लिए पहुंचे हैं और जिस तरीके से यूपी में, संभल में, सहारनपुर में जिस तरीके से जो पूरा एक मॉड्यूल सामने आया था उसको लेकर यूपी एटीएस पहुंची। यूपी एटीएस ने कहा है कि जो ब्लास्ट हुआ है हम उस मॉड्यूल को देखने के लिए आए हैं, इन्वेस्टिगेशन के लिए आए हैं। हमारे पास किसी का कॉल नहीं है, दिल्ली पुलिस से कोई कॉल नहीं है, लेकिन हम इस केस को देखने के लिए आए हैं। और यूपी एटीएस की 3 से 5 लोगों की टीम है जो इस वक्त यहाँ पर पहुंची है। और यूपी एटीएस का कहना है कि जो सहारनपुर, हालांकि उन्होंने ज्यादा कुछ नहीं कहा, लेकिन देखिए ऋषभ जी, जो सहारनपुर में जिस तरीके से डॉक्टर आदिल जो कि कश्मीरी मुल्क है,
जावेद, ये हरियाणा का नंबर प्लेट है, प्लीज चेक करवाइए। हमारे पास खबर आ रही है कि ये फरीदाबाद में निकला है नंबर, तो प्लीज़ इसको चेक करवाइए। प्लीज़ यू कम बैक टू मी, मैं आपके पास 1 मिनट में आ रहा हूँ, ठीक है? ये चेक करवाओ प्लीज़, फरीदाबाद क्या हो रहा है। सो ये यूपी ATS showed up. My Jammu correspondent is telling us that a team from Jammu and Kashmir is en route to Delhi. The NIA is there, the NSG is there, and the NSG commandos are there in full battle dress. Let's not kid ourselves, so this line of investigation of CNG, well, fair and good, and yes, as I've read out to you, CNG blasts have happened in this country, but surely this kind of organization is not being done for a suspected prima facie CNG blast. Almost impossible to believe. An adult body that has been flung 20 meters away to land on top of a car 20 meters away by a CNG explosion. I don't want to rule out the physics of it. A CNG cylinder in the back of a car is roughly 3,500 psi. To put into context, your car tire is probably 35 psi. So it has 1,000 times more pressure than your car tire. Okay. So 100 times more pressure than your car tire. So you can do the maths that yes, it is of an explosive nature, but never before have we seen something like this. So it would be either the worst ever CNG blast, and that also in a small car, Hyundai i20, very small car. There's nothing left of that car, it's all gone. General Dwivedi with us. General Dwivedi, we are of course in an information vacuum, but teams that are coming in from Jammu and Kashmir, from Uttar Pradesh, NSG, NIA, the fatality count is now at 12 or 13. You've seen the visuals, sir. I mean, we have to sanitize them for television. We've seen the witnesses. I've spoken to them, some in buildings which are 200, 300 meters away. They felt the ground shake. This was not a joke of an explosion, sir. This has been something pretty insidious has taken place.
Absolutely, Rishabh. Firstly, it's very tragic that almost dozen innocent lives have been lost. And while we have to come to a conclusion whether it was a CNG blast or it was a blast of explosion of a different nature, but nonetheless, one can join some dots and also try to navigate through the vacuum, information vacuum that we have. As you rightly said, that the intensity of blast actually is of a nature which points that it could be a explosive blast, but it's too early to conjecture. The second point is that the kind of impact it had on the surroundings, means body being flung by about 20 meters, that again also possibly indicates that it was a explosive blast and not merely CNG blast. And the third point is you have to also see the intelligence reports that are coming in. Some people have been apprehended. Faridabad, there was also that ammonia nitrate also apprehended. So the point is that it needs to be seen in entirety, but I am glad that all our security agencies are not taking it lightly, because it's too early to write it off. We need to take it as a possibly worst scenario case, and therefore earlier we are able to unlock this riddle, I think a better, because intelligence actually builds up. It doesn't come in one spurt, it gradually builds up. I'm sure that intelligence agency will be able to figure out what exactly was the cause
obviously,
of
speculation is dangerous, sir. You understand it as well as I do. Speculation is dangerous. Javed, are you there right now? कि क्या पता चला है गाड़ी के नंबर के बारे में? Okay, let's try to get Javed back. Now, the reason I'm going to confirm this and General Dwivedi is because I said speculation is dangerous, but we are talking about what was it, almost half a ton of ammonium nitrate, 400 kilograms of ammonium nitrate, AK-47s, other potential poisonous substances recovered from Faridabad. And then less than 24 hours later, if indeed the car that is blown up was registered in Faridabad. Now, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to then be very suspicious of a causal chain of links.
Absolutely, Rishabh, because as I was saying that in intelligence you have to join the dots to navigate the deficit of information or the vacuum. But as we are kind of putting the pieces together, it presently appears, again no speculation, that the intensity of the blast, when you compare the